Flying taxis, they're not just science fiction anymore. They are coming. But, and this is a big but, before a single one can take off, someone has to actually write the rule book. So today, we're diving into the official European plan that's making this all happen, turning sci-fi into a real regulated thing. Okay, so this is the big question, right? The one everyone is asking. When are we actually going to have flying taxis? Well, the crazy part is the technology is pretty much there. The real holdup, the key to unlocking this whole thing, it's not in some high-tech lab. It's in a rule book. I mean, right now, these aircraft are being built, they're being tested. But here's the thing. Before you or I can ever step foot in one, this massive, invisible foundation of rules has to be put in place. It's that simple. Without the rules, these incredible machines, they're just fancy prototypes that can't go anywhere. All right, let's get into it. The future of flying, a new era of mobility. And you've got to understand this is way bigger than just taxis that happen to fly. We're talking about a whole new concept called innovative air mobility, or IAM for short. And the stars of the show, a totally new type of aircraft, the VCA. That's a VTOL-Capable Aircraft. So, what on earth is a VCA? Let's break it down. Just picture a vehicle that can take off and land straight up and down, kind of like a helicopter, right? That makes it perfect for cities where space is tight. But then, once it's in the air, it flies forward super efficiently and quietly, more like a plane. These are the machines that are literally going to change everything, from how you get to work to how fast an ambulance can get to an emergency. Okay, new aircraft, new risks. This is the central challenge. Here's the problem. These things are so new, they don't fit into any of the old boxes. They're not exactly planes, but they're not exactly helicopters either. So the old rule books, they just don't apply. And when you think about them flying around in busy city skies, well, that creates a whole new world of risks that regulators have to figure out basically from square one. So you have to wonder, what are the things that keep regulators up at night? Well, it's these big questions. How do we make sure passengers and crew are protected? What about the people and buildings on the ground below? How do we stop these things from bumping into each other up there? And this is a huge one. How do you create one set of rules that works for all of Europe so it's a single safe market? I mean, they have to get this right because none of us are getting into one of these until we trust that it's safe. It's that simple. So let's talk about building the new rulebook, the European plan. You might be asking, who's the one to tackle this massive job? Well, in Europe, it all comes down to one agency. They're the ones tasked with writing this entire rulebook from scratch. And that agency is EASA, which stands for the European Union Aviation Safety Agency. You can really think of them as the architects of this whole new era of flying. And they're not doing it alone. They're working side by side with all the experts in the industry to make absolutely sure every single base is covered. Now, EASA doesn't just write some vague high-level rules and call it a day. No way. They also publish these things called AMC and GM. That's acceptable means of compliance and guidance material. The best way to think about it is like this. The rules are the what, but the AMC and GM are the how. They're the super detailed instruction manuals, the real nitty-gritty stuff that tell companies exactly how to meet the safety standards. This is where the rubber meets the road, where theory becomes reality for the engineers. Okay, so how do these rules actually work? Well, the whole framework is built on three main pillars of safety. Each one tackles safety from a totally different angle. We're talking about the operation, the pilot, and the basic rules of the air itself. First up, safer operations. This is all about making sure every flight is secure from start to finish. This pillar is the how of flying. How is a flight planned out? How is it carried out safely? It covers all sorts of stuff, from making sure there's enough juice in the battery for the whole trip to this really interesting new rule. Before they even take off, the operator has to map out several safe places to land along the route, just in case. Next, we've got smarter pilots. This pillar is all about the who, the person in the cockpit. Believe it or not, they're creating a brand new pilot's license just for these VCAs. Pilots are going to need some serious training on all the new tech and on how to fly in what's called U-Space. Just think of U-Space as a totally new air traffic control system, but for low altitudes, designed just for drones and, you guessed it, flying taxis. And finally, the third pillar, clearer skies. This one is all about updating the fundamental rules of the air. Now, some of these changes might sound kind of small, but they are absolutely vital. For instance, they're changing the wording and regulations to fuel/energy. Why? To make sure it officially covers all the new electric and hybrid engines. They're also setting brand new, crystal clear rules for visibility, so everyone knows exactly what kind of weather is safe for these aircraft to fly in. All right, let's talk about paving the way forward and enabling innovation. After hearing about all these rules, you might be thinking, wow, are they just trying to slow everything down? But the answer is a hard no. In fact, the whole point of this framework is to do the exact opposite. And you don't have to take my word for it. In their own documents, EASA says their goal is to, and I'm quoting here, support innovation and development through an efficient, proportionate, and well-designed regulatory framework. And that right there, that's the key idea. Good rules don't kill innovation. They give it a safe, stable launchpad to really take off from. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's simple, really. By creating this predictable, safe environment, these rules give everyone what they need. Companies get the confidence to invest money. Manufacturers get the clarity they need to actually build these things. And most importantly, we, the public, get the trust we need to feel safe flying in them. So this rulebook, it isn't a roadblock. It is the launchpad for the entire future of air mobility. And that's a look at how Europe is writing the very first chapter for the future of flight. Hey, if you found this explainer helpful, it would be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel, maybe give us a like, a comment, or even share it. It really helps our channel grow and lets us make more content just like this. Thanks so much for tuning in.